I be like, sheesh, sunset on the beach. Make me wanna pull up on Miami with the heat. I don't know about you, but I know about me.
Welcome back to the Anytime Sports Podcast Show. We had a fun week 14 in the NFL season. We're going to kick it off by recapping Green Bay at Detroit, the Thursday night football game that everyone was talking about. Detroit ends up winning this one 34-31. It was a good game. Andrew, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, all you can really say is Dan Campbell's got balls. You saw it at the end of this game. Fourth down and 1 in field goal range on the 20.
Go for it.
Go for it, yeah. And there's like 40 seconds left. It's all 31 coaches besides Dan Campbell would kick the game, end the game. But it's Dan Campbell. He's going to go for it. Now, had he missed that, things would be differently, and we wouldn't be talking about this.
It'll be 32 when Mike Vrabel takes the Bears job next year.
Yeah.
It'll be 32 if that's the case.
Yeah.
But no, I think you're 100% right. There's not many head coaches in that situation that would go for it, but he's very consistent in that aspect of being very aggressive, even though it might hurt him sometimes like it did in the NFC Championship game last year. It did hurt him on a couple times going for fourth down. So in this game, it helps him, and it might hurt him later on. We don't know really the case. But Jared Goff played a pretty good game. He did have an interception in this one, but he was 238 yards, 3 touchdowns, 32 of 41. He played very well in this one. But, man, if you're a Packers fan, I don't feel bad for you, but you got to be frustrated.
Yeah.
You've lost 2 games to the Lions. And leads you to kind of like where your team is heading. But what does Green Bay do now? You're 9-4. You're not going to get the first seed in the NFC. How does their playoff picture look?
Yeah, you really just got to fight for your right. They might be, obviously the Lions are going to be that top seed. But that means you're going to be fighting with a team like a division opponent, the Vikings. You could be fighting with the Eagles, depending what happens. Maybe the Commanders. So being able to beat those caliber teams is what really matters. The Lions obviously was a huge game, and them not pulling out of this game is also pretty big. But at the same time, as long as you could beat these smaller teams like the Commanders and them, but then you have to play the Lions if you want to make it to the Super Bowl. Because the NFC, usually it's the AFC that seems like that powerhouse every year. But this NFC, I'm telling you, there's a lot of good teams this year. Commanders, Packers, Lions, Vikings, Eagles. It's going to be very tricky for them, and especially once it gets to that playoff scene.
I'm surprised I didn't see more of Jaden Reed during this game. Kind of a really fast wide receiver. Didn't give him much. He had 1 target during the game, but it was really the Christian Watson show if it was Green Bay. 4 receptions, 114 yards. He had himself a day, but really they were also trying to run the ball pretty much. They've come into like a power running scheme almost with Josh Jacobs. He's got 18 carries, and this one's for 66 yards. Do you think Josh Jacobs is a massive addition that in the free agency that has paid off so far?
I'll probably be against the grain here, but I would say not as big of an asset as some other teams had, like Derrick Henry or something. The Packers had Aaron Jones before, and Aaron Jones is a decent running back. We see what he's doing with the Vikings. He's balling out. Josh Jacobs has got that power, and don't get me wrong, he's a better running back than Aaron Jones, but I don't think that's necessarily like the huge step the Packers needed. The Ravens needed a running back. They got their guy, but I think he's a huge addition, but he's not necessarily the biggest addition.
I think what the Packers did in Jones, they didn't want to be like, they looked in their division and they looked at what Dalvin Cook was with Minnesota last year. And they're like, we don't want that for our team. That would be a detriment to our team. So like Minnesota did this year, they moved off of Dalvin Cook. Look what a great move that was. Mm-hmm. And they signed Aaron Jones, who had a little bit left in the tank. I don't know how much longer he's got. You get a more shelf life with Josh Jacobs. I think he's in his later 20s.
Yeah,
no, he's 26.
Oh my God.
He's younger than I thought he was. But yeah, I get the move signing him, and he's a very good addition to what should be a very good Green Bay running core in the future. They did draft Marshawn Lloyd, I believe his name, rookie. He did not perform this year because of injuries, whatnot. Hopefully he gets all healthy. I don't want anyone getting hurt or anything. But I'm going to talk a little bit about Detroit. I'm not ready to say they're a Super Bowl winning team. They're a Super Bowl contender just yet.
Yeah.
earlier on in the season, yes, I would say so. That defensive line, in my opinion, is going to be the reason why they might not win.
Mm-hmm.
And their window for opening to winning a Super Bowl is this year, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You lose Ben Johnson next season, offense looks a bit different. I mean, this is the year if they're going to win it. This is the year. Yeah, you only get Zadarius Smith gets a sack in this one.
Yeah.
That's a good, a sack the whole game. I mean, you really need more than that if you're going to win in the playoffs and have pressure against some good teams right now. But really, their competition in the NFC is Green Bay, you could say one of them, but the Eagles, who we'll talk about the Eagles. I'm sure we'll talk about the A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts situation later on in the show. Probably when we recap a game or in the news segment. But they're looking a little bit dysfunctional as well, just with all the drama going on, even though they're playing really good football through Saquon Barkley. But it's just one thing to note. They're lucky they're in the NFC right now. If you were in the AFC, I think you definitely need a couple pass rushers with the quarterbacks like Mahomes, Lamar, Bo Nix even now, I'd like to say. Guys like that are going to be in the playoffs. You got to get pressure on them. And, let's go into another game. Let's go into Miami winning against the New York Jets in overtime, 32-26 in this one. It looks like Aaron Rodgers had himself a day. I remember watching this game. He went for 339 yards and a touchdown in the loss against Miami. Andrew, it just seems like no matter what the Jets do, they're just never that good enough.
Yeah. Exactly. I was watching the Pat McAfee show the other day. Rodgers was on there. He said, respect to my younger guys, Brandon Allen, Isaiah Davis. Running backs, they didn't really get going in this game. 83 yards total, 21 carries, split basically even between them both. And as a team like this, you can pass all you want, but if you can't get that running game going, and it really hurts Breece Hall being out, because obviously Aaron Rodgers isn't getting any younger. Devontae Adams didn't have a terrible game, 109 yards. Garrett Wilson had 114, no touchdown. But still, it's a big loss for the Jets, especially putting up the numbers they did. They did go to overtime. And this Dolphins team is really starting to turn things around. They aren't completely out of it yet. I believe they're still
Let me ask you this question. Do you think the Dolphins make the playoffs? Because this was a must-win game. They needed to win this game in order to stay alive in their division, most likely. They got a couple. I'll name you the teams they're playing. So next week they play the Texans at Houston. Then they're at home versus the 49ers. They're at the Cleveland Browns, so think that's going to be snowy, maybe a snow game or very cold game at least. And, Miami might not be the best cold weather team. We saw them get destroyed out in Green Bay.
Yeah.
Remember that game? So you don't know if they're necessarily, and it's a night game too. It's a Sunday night game. And they've end the season at New York Jets, so two cold weather games. And then you got a two decent teams to go against, the Texans and the 49ers, who the Texans you may be fighting for a wild card spot with.
I'd say if they drop this game, it's over. Obviously, it is their chance to make the playoffs, especially with how good the Bills are in the top of their division. But it's funny because the Jets or the Dolphins aren't even over 500 and they're still in playoff contention. That just shows you how the league is this year. But I think that if they beat Houston, they beat San Fran. I think Cleveland and New York, arguably, those games could be tougher than San Fran and Houston just because of the weather. We see how the Dolphins play in the weather. We saw that with the Packers game. And we're going to see that in Cleveland and New York because those are both very cold climates, especially a January game in New York. That's going to be rough.
And the fact is they don't know how to run the ball. If you look at the stat lines even in this game, they were struggling to get anything going. Devon Achane had 14 carries for 24 yards. They kind of supplemented the run game by giving short dump-offs to Achane and other running backs as well. But it's really hard when you're talking about cold weather games. You think of ground pound football. And if you don't have a running game like that, do you have a shot at winning?
Yeah.
I mean, we saw it a couple weeks ago in Green Bay. They really didn't look very good playing in the cold. And I know it's the age-old saying, like, Southern teams can't play good in the cold. It's just I don't know.
Yeah.
It's very weird, and especially at a city like Miami, it's definitely been said, oh, they can't play in the cold, even though they have the Jets in their division, they have Buffalo in their division, so they have, and New England. It's
Yeah.
all cold weather cities too.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I could totally. I get it from both sides. Obviously, the Dolphins not used to playing in the cold. You practice in the warm. You practice in the sun. You play your home games all in the sun. The majority of your games are in domes or in the sun, so those away games are really crucial. But like you were saying, with New England, with New York, and with the Bills in your division, those are the three of some of the coldest climates you can play in. And having to play them and play in the cold is a part of the game. You got to be able to play in the cold because you're going to guaranteed play in the cold 3 times a year unless you play them earlier in the year. But basically, you're almost guaranteed three cold games a year. So you got to be able to play in the cold, and that's something they need to do. And like you were saying, not getting that run going is really what they need. And such a pass-oriented team, that's really how they're gonna fall off. And I think how Cleveland and the New York games at the end of the season are gonna be rough.
Do you think if Brees Hall plays this game, do you think New York ends up winning this one?
Yes, I do, because I think that's where they struggled was in the run game. And not necessarily the Dolphins have a decent defense, but now can they stop the run the best? No, I don't think so. Brees Hall, he would run all over this team. We saw him when he was really good 2 years ago, I believe, before he got banged up. He was really good. He would run all over the Dolphins, I think. So I think this game would be way more of a blowout to the Jets side had Brees Hall play this. But the Jets are 1-6 away, and they all are 3-10 in the season. And one player being out isn't going to do just that. So it's probably stuff to do with Rodgers and Saleh being fired and stuff in the locker room. But I think this game would be closer.
I think this game, I kind of agree with you, but I think this is the way Rodgers wants to play. He wants to throw the ball. He'd rather throw the ball more than he would like to hand the ball off, like every quarterback does like that. Let's not be frank here, but he played exactly how he wanted to, and they didn't end up winning the game. It's just mind-boggling sometimes, and it's another lost season for the Jets. It was supposed to be a good season, but they ended up 3-10. And enough with the Jets. Let's move on to a more relevant game. Talk about the smackdown in Minnesota as Minnesota beat Atlanta 42-21 in Kirk Cousins' revenge game fashion. He went 23 of 37 for 304 and 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. Kirk Cousins has not thrown a touchdown in weeks.
Yeah.
What's wrong with Atlanta right now, and is this salvageable?
I think it's basically just Kirk Cousins, and I'm going to turn this back to you in a second. And also, you're playing a Vikings team that's clicking on all calibers. Sam Darnold, 22 for 28, 347 with 5 touchdowns. Absolutely insane. 3 of those to Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson. And I'm going to turn this back to you. Now, the Falcons aren't out of it yet. They're below 500. This obviously raises red flags. We were talking about it in the past. And I think, personally, as long as playoff contention is in the picture, you're going to have Kirk Cousins in. But when do you think that they put Penix in? Do you think some point this season we see Penix in, or does Cousins finish out the season? You gave him that big contract, but you also drafted Penix 8 overall, so...
If they fall out of playoff contention, yes, but I think they're too close right now that I think if Penix was that good, we would have already seen him play. I don't think he's bad by any means, but I think he needs more time to develop, I guess. At least that's what Atlanta is saying. Kirk Cousins is probably their best option to win, but man, they've looked very ice cold. And to think, if they didn't get certain wins earlier on in the season that could have gone 50-50, they could be well below 500 right now, and we'd be talking about how the Kirk Cousins signing was one of the worst signings in the free agency. Right now, it doesn't look that way, but we're getting kind of dangerously close. If they do not win out, I mean, Atlanta itself has not won. I mean, they've lost the past 4 games in a row. Their last win was against the Cowboys. But they lost the Saints, Broncos, Chargers, and Vikings. You could say all those teams, besides the Saints, are very good teams. But still, it's a bad losing streak that you don't want. And ask the Chicago Bears how to shake a bad losing streak. Cause we'll talk about them in a little bit. But I'm going to really mention Minnesota in this one. Sam Darnold is wow. I mean, we talked about last week, do you sign Sam Darnold? And I think you do now. I mean, he's 22 of 28 for 347 and 5 TDs. Like,
Yeah.
that's absolutely
And
insane. And the
also,
guy is only
yeah,
27 years old.
yeah, I was just going to say that. Don't ignore the fact he's 27. He was drafted 3rd overall in 2018. So he's not, like, draft stock wise and age wise, he's looks like pretty good for the next 7 to 10 years if you can lock him up. And he's producing now. Who's to say he won't produce for the next 10 years?
And how is it having a wide receiver like Jordan Addison in this one?
Yeah, that's
8 receptions,
yeah.
133 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He's a great pairing with Justin Jefferson. Andrew, is it time to respect the Minnesota Vikings as a Super Bowl contender, or do we need to pump the brakes a little bit?
Now, I think a Super Bowl contender, that's too high up. I think you need to pump the brakes. They need a more well-rounded defense, I think, before they can get that respect. But are they a playoff team, and could they be a deep contender? Yes. Now the things that raise my eyebrows and things that raise red flags for me is some of the close games they've had. Obviously, the Bears game, they went into overtime with a pretty bad Eberflus-led Bears team. They lost to the Rams by 10 points. They were pretty close with the Jags. They were really close with the Cardinals. Some of the earlier games in the season, they won pretty good. They were close with the Jets. Some of these close games raise my eyebrows, but we also see close games with the Lions and stuff. You got young receivers. Addison's 22 years old. And Justin Jefferson's 25. Sam Darnold's 27. Now, if this team goes in the offseason, management goes in the offseason and says, hey, we're going to build this defense up. We're going to build them to what they need to be. You got Aaron Jones, too, and Aaron Jones and Cam Akers in the backfield. Aaron Jones is 30 years old, so he's old in running back age, but he's still got a couple of years with him. So you have these younger guys on your team. Now you build this defense. Then I think we can see that caliber of Super Bowl. Now Sam Darnold is in his first year with a good system. Now I don't think that leads to a Super Bowl. We could see them messing with some playoff seedings.
Well, you mentioned how they've won so many close games, but I'm gonna turn it back around. In the playoffs, normally they're very close games, so learning how to win close games earlier on in the season is very valuable for a team heading into the playoffs. I think their one loss against the one recent loss, not recent loss, I mean this was a while ago, but against the Rams, that should have been a 15-yard penalty if that heads to the face call was made. In that game, I remember that being a huge topic of that game. They haven't had a loss since. They've known how to fight back in tight games. The remaining schedule is Chicago, Seahawks, Packers, and Lions at the end of the year. In that Lions game, maybe resting all of their starters because you don't have anything to play for. So who knows with that one? That'll be interesting. If Minnesota if the starters for the Lions somehow play because they haven't locked up the 1 seed yet, because maybe the Eagles are playing very well and they're worried about losing the 1 seed to the Eagles, I could see them playing, and I could see the Vikings not playing their starters, because if they're already locked in and they're not going to get a 1 seed, why waste playing for it? So it should be very interesting with that aspect. Let's go to another game here. Do you have a game you want to talk about specifically?
Yeah, I want to highlight since we were kind of talking about the Eagles earlier, I want to take a look at Panthers-Eagles. We saw a great game out of Bryce Young. Obviously, Panthers-Eagles on paper doesn't look like a great game, but 22-16 as a finish is always great, and considering the Panthers led for a good portion of this game, the Eagles put on 8 in the fourth quarter. Bryce Young didn't play terrible. I mean, statistically wise, he was 19 for 34, 191 of touchdown and an interception. But at the same time, they really put up a fight with this Eagles team, because this is a team that you're going to want to compete with, and a team that's really good. I mean, if the Panthers, they have a good future. I feel like Bryce Young is their guy, obviously. But he's really balled out these last couple weeks. And as for the Eagles, you're just going to keep winning as long as you give Saquon that ball. Like, he had 124 rushing yards here, 20 carries. He needs at least 20 carries per game. And I want to ask you, does this raise eyebrows to this Eagles team, or does this show the future of the Panthers is bright?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think Bryce Young's coming into his own as an NFL quarterback, which is a good thing to see after what's such a struggling first half of the season and last season. But I want to turn it back around on Philadelphia. Reports are coming out. Brandon Graham leaked to the media that AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts, they don't like each other. They don't like each other. It's not abnormal to see some players not like each other. Really, at the wide receiver quarterback position, it's a little bit kind of unheard of, but nobody really says it out in the media. But Brandon Graham leaks it out in the media that AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts, they don't hang out with each other much after hours or whatever. And I mean, you could take that with a grain of salt as well. But these two guys don't really seem like they like each other. And for AJ Brown to come out and criticize, oh, we need to be passing the ball more, I need to be getting the ball more, after a win like this,
Yeah.
it just gets more people talking about you in a negative light. And I get what he's saying. If you want to win a Super Bowl, you are going to have to effectively throw the ball as well. I get on that aspect. I don't know if he was going totally on that aspect. He might be just a little bit selfish and wanting the ball more, which is okay. We've seen a lot of wide receivers do that. But this year, let's be honest, Andrew, it's been the Saquon Barkley show.
Yeah.
Much for the Eagles. It's been only solely run through Saquon Barkley. AJ Brown has had spurts throughout the year where they've looked very, very good. But Jalen Hurts is not the most talented quarterback at throwing the ball downfield.
Yeah.
So what's a safer option is handing the ball off to Saquon Barkley 20, 25 carries a game. Saquon gets 20 carries in this game. It was really a Saquon show. But I think A.J. Brown's a little bit right in the aspect that the passing game needs to be better than it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I think coming out of this shouldn't have been a public thing.
Yeah,
like
I
it
agree.
should have been in the organization.
Yeah.
Within the locker room. I mean, it brings you back to when the Eagles weren't doing so well, maybe earlier on in the season, saying and criticizing Nick Sirianni. This team, all it takes is one thing, and things spiral down, and it's just always the fan base is always looking for something, someone to blame, something, and it's got to be very stressful if you're players in this locker room with that going on. You're competing for a number one seed in the NFC right now. And to have this going on, it just doesn't. You need to be united during this point in the season. Exactly. I just don't see it as much with Philadelphia, even though if they can get that together, they are definitely a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you're winning, especially after him complaining. I get you want the ball more. We saw this early in the season with DJ Moore. I get you want the ball more, and you could say that, but maybe you say to Jalen, say to the coaches, hey, guys, I really wish I get more receptions. This doesn't need to be released publicly. And obviously, this Eagles team is being run differently than it has the last 2 years with A.J. Brown because they have Saquon. They have that weapon that they can use, and it's being used, and it's winning games. And don't change what's wrong. Say, hey, A.J. Brown's crying about not doing this, that. He's not going to play if he doesn't get the ball. Try to feed him the ball. You're going to lose games. And you're not A.J. Brown, get on the bad side of Jalen. He has every right not to throw you that ball. You're going to get no receptions per game. So you really, like you're saying, you got to stay on the good side of your team, and you don't. When you're at this point in the season and everything's going right, it seems like you don't want to get those bad jitters going through. You don't want to get Sirianni on your bad side. You don't want to talk crap about your team in the locker room. You don't want to hurt that locker room culture because you can be the best team ever, but if you have a terrible locker room culture, your team's not going to click.
Talk about a guy who turned back the clock in this game. Adam Thielen, 34 years old. Attaboy. He gets I just lost the stats that he had.
9 receptions for 102 yards.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. 9 receptions, 102 yards. He's loving playing football again. I'm going to give him a shout out. And yeah, Bryce Young is definitely playing very good football right now. And Jonathan Brooks went down in an injury in this game, non-contact. Hopefully he's going to be
he was set for
that was
out for the year.
Ooh.
Yeah,
yikes.
it's rough.
I didn't hear that. That's rough.
The funny thing is, my mom knew his mom, so it was cool. We had that connection. But it's
your
rough.
mom knew his
yeah,
mom.
My mom knows Jonathan Brooks' mom. But
Can you tell her I want an autograph? Tell your mom to tell his mom that I want an autograph.
okay, the thing that sucks about that is he was out for the season. He gets like I think a couple carries on the year, and then you're out again. It's like that tough situation that we keep seeing with J.K. Dobbins, and especially these non-contact injuries nowadays. It's really rough and it's tough to see, especially with these young rookies too. I don't want to say it's the end of his career, but it's going to be a really big setback. He had like
Yikes.
two ACL tears within a year of each other, and that's rough to see.
Gosh. Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, you always feel for a player who's dealing with nagging injuries like that. That's like never a good thing. It's the one bad thing about sports with all injuries and thoughts and prayers go out to all the injured players. A lot of injuries this season as well.
Yeah.
But let's go into another game. Let's go into a absolute barn burner of a game. The LA Rams and the Buffalo Bills. The Rams end up winning this game 44-42. Yes, Andrew, I'm saying that correct. 44-42. Absolute insane. Josh Allen rushes for 3 touchdowns. He throws for 3 touchdowns, and yet he loses this game.
Yeah.
Is Josh Allen being failed by the Buffalo Bills, Andrew?
I don't know. I believe the defense obviously letting up 44 points. I think he is. He's such a talented quarterback. He's getting those yards, 342 in this one. He has the weapons on offense. James Cook didn't get many carries in this game, though. But at the same time, Khalil Shakir, 106 yards. Cooper, 95 yards. Matt Collins, 57 and a touchdown. Ty Johnson, 55 and a touchdown. You're getting these touchdowns in here, but you need to run the ball more. But at the same time, your defense can't let up 44 points against this Rams team. But on the other side of the ball, Puka Nacua had himself a game, 162 yards and a touchdown. Cooper Kupp had 92 and a touchdown. These two teams, if the Rams are healthy, if they were healthy all year, these two teams would be arguably Super Bowl matchups. Had the Rams put together what they are doing right now. And this game, I think, was the highest scoring game ever without an interception in it, too. Or a turnover in it, which is an insane stat to see. And it's insane that this game went this high, but it just shows how high caliber both these teams are and how high scoring games can really get when you put two teams that really want to fight for that playoff spot and fight for to be playoff teams on the line.
So I'm going to call in question the coaching on the Buffalo Bills side.
Yeah.
You're on the 1-yard line. You have 3 timeouts. You need the ball back, right?
Yeah.
You're going to need to kick an onside kick, or you could kick away the ball because you have 3 timeouts. You'll get the ball back with more seconds than they did end up getting the ball. You run a quarterback sneak. It does not get into the end zone because you were like really more than a yard away. That yard was very deceiving. But you have to take a timeout then. You wasted a timeout. Now you're down to 2, which almost guarantees you need to get the onside kick. What were you thinking? What were you thinking? Such a terrible, terrible call.
Yeah.
And it's 100% on coaching why they've lost this game. It's 100% on coaching. You're telling me Josh Allen was 22 of 37 for 342 yards and 3 touchdowns? You cannot blame Josh Allen for this one. You can maybe blame the defense a little bit, but I blame coaching.
Yeah.
Automatically, they've absolutely failed Josh Allen. Throughout his career, they have failed him. Of course, they developed him a little bit into what he's been like today, but they're holding Josh Allen back. They need to. Josh Allen does not have the best head coach like Patrick Mahomes does.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't even have the second best head coach. He's got a kind of above average head coach. He doesn't got an offensive minded head coach as well. It's hard to look at this Buffalo team and they're definitely going to win a Super Bowl. And you needed to win this game to secure home field advantage or maybe be in a couple games within the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Because dropping another game like the Chiefs are not dropping another game like this. I mean, let's be honest. They're not.
Yeah,
and now you're tied with Buffalo on the wins and loss record. in the AFC.
Yeah.
The Chiefs are not losing 2 more games throughout the season. You had the tiebreaker on the Chiefs because you beat them earlier on in the year, and then you go out and you lose to the Rams.
Yeah.
That is unacceptable. The playoffs could have ran through Buffalo, and I know Josh Allen lost to Kansas City last year in Buffalo, but who's to say it's hard to go into Buffalo 2 times in a row and win like that?
Yeah.
They went to Buffalo this year and they didn't get it.
Say that's a snow game too. We see how teams play in the snow, not good. And I'm gonna read the Chiefs' rest of the year schedule. They got Cleveland, easy. Houston, that could be close, but they'll probably win it. They got Pittsburgh, that'll be another close one, but they could probably win it. Denver, they're probably favored in all 4 of these games, although it is a tougher schedule. They're not playing teams like the Rams or the Raiders. They could very well win out for the rest of the season. And like we were saying for the Bills, you need to win that game. And for the Bills' rest of the year schedule, they got Detroit next week. Huge. Got New England. Okay. Could win that. You got New York. Okay. You could win that. And then you got New England again. So this was a game that you're going to need to win.
Is that Detroit game in Buffalo or in
Detroit?
In Detroit. Okay,
Yeah.
That's huge. That's a dome stadium. So that's going to be a harder game to win because you're in a dome. If you were in the elements, you were used to playing in the elements like that.
Yeah.
So it might have been a little bit better in that aspect, but you're absolutely right. That's a tough game.
Yeah. You can't drop a game like that. Another game to look at, Chiefs using their devil magic again. This is insane. 19-17, they beat the Chargers. We were saying this week, we both predicted last week the Chargers would win this. Now they should have ran it. They should have won it. Now the Chiefs are winning off 2 divisional games this year. They've won off of one was a blocked field goal and this one was a field goal. Doink in. And of course,
why couldn't the Bears get that luck in 2018?
Oh my gosh!
Why did we have to do double doink and out? Why couldn't it have been double doinking in? Well, that's because we're not the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, and they got all the magic in the world.
They have to. But no, I mean, really, they put themselves in good situations at the end of each and every game to win. And they've won like this because of coaching. Andy Reid is one of the best coaches of all time. And when he gets done coaching, he will be the best coach of all time. He's only so many wins behind Shula. And I know Bill Belichick is only so many wins behind Shula. He's even closer. But we'll talk about Bill Belichick in our news segment as big news about Bill Belichick came out earlier today. We'll talk about that. But Kansas City just wins games like they're not pretty, but they still win them.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how pretty each win is. They're still winning all these games, so it's not like they need to put up 40 points a game to win. Their defense is really handling it. 2 weeks in a row, they've won 19-17. That's a crazy stat line, too.
Yeah.
But their remaining schedule looks very winnable. Their only loss is against the Buffalo Bills, which they'll probably play the Bills in the playoffs, and they'll play in Kansas City this time, so that's a much easier game for Kansas City as well. But, yeah, I think that's done for the recaps.
Yeah.
Let's head into the big news that came out today. Bill Belichick. We talked about this last week. University of North Carolina, UNC. He is now the head coach.
Yeah.
First impressions, Andrew.
I mean, if you were to tell me 3 years ago, Bill Belichick is going to be the head coach at UNC, I'd call you crazy. I'm sure everybody would call you crazy. Now, I don't hate this. We've seen NFL coaches. I mean, Bill Belichick, one of the greatest coaches of all time. Respect to him in the NFL, what he's done. But when we saw what happened with the Patriots the last couple of years when Tom Brady left, that looked rough. A lot of these NFL coaches, Urban Meyer, Matt Rule, terrible in the NFL. Absolutely terrible. Couldn't win games. Go to college. There's some of the top tier college coaches. Matt Rule with the Cornhuskers, Nebraska. They were a great team this year, although they weren't the top team in the Big Ten. They were a great team this year, and Matt Rule coached nowhere near that level in NFL. NFL is a whole different ballpark. Bill Belichick spent his whole career in the NFL. Now put him into a school like UNC. They missed a bowl game this year. They were pretty bad. Historically, they've been decent, produced some good quarterbacks. Mitch Trubisky, Drake May. Now it'll be interesting.
First round talent, Mitch Trubisky. Put that under there.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be better than Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen.
Yeah. Now
Not Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. Now it'll be interesting to see what Bill Belichick does with recruiting, what he does doing some of these college things that you don't necessarily do in the NFL. Now, I think he'll be a great coach. Now, I'm not sure if that first year will click right away. He's on a 3-year deal, so he's probably going to get those 3 years, and I think the second year could be where we see his team turn around. He's going to get a lot of players in there. A lot of players are going to go want to play for Bill Belichick, similar to how it is with Deion Sanders in Colorado. They're going to want to go play for that coach. And I'll ask you, what do you think this means for his career? Because obviously he sat out this NFL season and he's going to be coaching college next year. Do you think this is a big move for them? Or do you think this is something for Bill Belichick to get off the couch?
Well, I listened to some talk radio, which I dabble in from time to time, and talk TV shows, and an interesting point came up when talking about Bill Belichick. Seems like he burned a lot of bridges in the NFL that could have led him to an NFL coaching job. I think his first option was to go back in the NFL. But I don't think there was a lot of opportunities that would hire him or consider to hire him, and that's why he kind of scrambled and got this UNC job, because he was told there's not many teams who want you. And I think him not creating those bridges while he was in the NFL with some different organizations and kind of burning the bridges he had in the Patriots hurt his chances of getting another NFL coaching job. Reports are coming out that he thought Chicago had the best roster, and he was more concerned about roster. He thought Chicago had the best roster out of any of the teams looking for a coach. He didn't think the McCaskies would hire him. So he didn't think that was an option. And Bill was just looking at roster to see where he could win at. So that wasn't an option for him. And a couple of the other teams were like not going to be the options for him. Like the Jacksonvilleers, talk about them.
The Jets.
Woody Allen and the Jets, he was never going to go there. Those two don't get along.
Yeah.
So he kind of burned out every single bridge, and I think going to the college game, we talk about it more. The college game has turned into the NFL with the NIL. It's turned into a lot of cap situations, GMs, and like he announced too, Mike Lombardi is heading with him to UNC to kind of manage the cap and be the GM. Their goal, they're saying, is to develop players to be NFL talents. We'll see how that goes. And Bill is very good at the coaching, but let's see if when he coaches hard, are these guys just going to be like, nah, I don't really want to play for you. I'm going to go somewhere else and then make more NIL. Yeah. So it'll be very, very interesting to see how he does. I wish him the best of luck. The best NFL head coach is now turning to college at the ripe age of 73, I want to say he is.
Yeah.
73?
I think he's 78. I think he's way older. Let me check.
78? There's no way he's 78. He's like 72 or 73.
He is 72. Yeah, you're right. So he's still younger.
72. He's still younger.
Yeah.
He's 72 years old. So how long is he going to be coaching? Who knows in that aspect? And I think it could work, but I also think it might not work as well. But
yeah, it'll be interesting to follow. Definitely with like you were saying.
Any interesting? Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like you were saying, with the college being the way it is now, it'd definitely be something to follow, and especially with the big toss-up between NFL and college now. These coaches seemingly go between the two. Harbaugh was in the NFL, college, really good with Michigan. Back to the NFL, really good with the Chargers. Bill Belichick, really good with the Patriots, 2000s, probably bad with the Patriots. Back to college. Let's see how he does with UNC. Maybe after that 3-year contract, he'll get another NFL job. Or he might just hang it up at that point. But it'd be interesting to see him try out the college game. It's something he hasn't dabbled in his career, and it'd be interesting to see that come out.
Yeah, it'll be, and like we mentioned, the games really at least the college football has turned more into the pro style. So maybe a pro style of going at it. He's one of the first to do that. Be a pro style coach who's going to run a pro style organization. Maybe that has a lot of success. And his schedule is very easy considerably. He's not going to an SEC schedule. He's not going to a Big Ten schedule. It's an ACC schedule, so he's got to maybe play Clemson once a year. So that's not too bad.
Yeah.
If you're looking at the grand scheme of things, it's not too bad. He could definitely have some success in college, and I hope he does. But is there any NFL news you want to? I mean, kind of. We mentioned the Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown situation. We talked about that. Bill Belichick going to the University of North Carolina. I mean, Joe Burrow doesn't like that he feels like his privacy is being violated with his home getting burglarized and everything like that. We don't really need to talk about that.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes admits 3-game stretch over 11 days is not a good feeling. Cry about it. Face mask penalties could be subject to replay assistance in 2025 season. We saw very crucial games decided by face masks, like we were talking about earlier with the Vikings and Rams. And
a way to slow down the game, though.
Yeah, exactly.
It's adding too much time. It's gonna be like so many challenges for face masks, and I'm pretty sure you could see a face mask on almost every single play. If you really looked at it, the offense and defensive linemen, there's probably some face mask grab on every single play. So I think that's just gonna slow down the game. I don't know about you. I think it's a good idea in concept, but I think in actuality, teams are going to be abusing this.
Yeah, and I agree with you too. Now, in a case where it's like the Vikings-Rams game, where he grabs on Sam Darnold's face mask, they don't get that penalty, they have to punt it away, and the game's basically over. That's a case where, we'll throw that challenge flag, and that's where it'll defer, because the ref obviously missed it right in front of him. Now, like you're saying, coaches misusing them. Maybe it's a play like, oh, dude runs down the field. He just like the hand doesn't even grab onto the face mask. It's like a quick grab. Coach is going to throw that. That's 7 minutes down the drain, them looking at that play or whatever. But yeah, like you were saying, it could be abused. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes about. I could see it go from both ways, but I think the game is kind of better to remain natural, and the refs see it, they call it. If they don't, then it's whatever it is. But
Broncos signing Garrett Bowles to a 4-year, $82 million contract extension. Go get your money, man. That's what I'm saying. That's another big news coming out, and I think we should just go straight into let's pick some football games.
Exactly. Yeah, let's do it.
You ready to pick some football games?
Oh yeah. All right.
Let's pick some.
This should be an interesting week. Coming down to the wire. It's crazy to say already. We only got 3 weeks left in the regular season. It's crazy. 4 weeks left if you count this weekend. Because it feels like we just started the season. I'll ask you the first one. Thursday night game. This game from the time we're filming starts in about an hour and a half. Rams at Niners. Niners coming off a big win over the Bears. Rams also coming off a huge win over the Bills. Who would you have in this one?
I'm going to take Matthew Stafford and the Rams. I like how Puka Nacua has really brought so much to this team. Nick Bosa's questionable in this one. Isaiah Guerendo's questionable in this one. A lot of injuries for San Francisco. The Rams, I think, are peaking at the right time, and they got hot earlier at the end of last season as well. I'm going to take the Rams in this one.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I think I'm going to take the Rams, too. They're very hot. The Niners beating a pretty bad Bears team with a new head coach. And I'll agree with you on the Rams. Chiefs, Browns, what do you think? They're in Cleveland.
Browns, Kansas City?
Yeah.
You got to be taking Jameis Winston, so I'm going to take the Chiefs in this one. I'll let you have Jameis. It's okay. I know you like Jameis, so you could take him. I'll mark you down as the Browns already.
I'm a couple episodes ago. It was a bet Colin had with me that if the Browns beat the Steelers or whatever, I had to run 4 miles, and I did it. There's proof. There's the 4 miles.
There's the proof right there.
So
that's funny.
All of 15 of you that watch the podcast, you know that I'm not lying now.
All of 15 of us.
But I'm not lying now. I did the miles, but I'm gonna go with the Chiefs.
He did it. He's a man of his word right there.
I'm gonna go to the
Attaboy.
Chiefs. I'm going to the Chiefs on this one.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I gotta go to the Chiefs.
Are you going to? I'm so confident that I will run 5 miles.
No.
If the you're not making that mistake again?
No, that's not happening. Yeah.
Want to move on to the next game?
Yeah, we'll go to the next one. We got
Go ahead.
Bengals Titans. Colin, you want to pick that one?
I'm gonna pick Cincinnati. Tennessee hasn't looked very, very good in the past couple of weeks, even though they did get a win 2 weeks ago. But I don't think it's enough, and they kind of lost a bad one last week.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. It's Tennessee is not good, and I don't think they'll be good anytime soon. The Will Levis is not the guy there. They're gonna have to go out and probably get a quarterback this offseason. So it'll be
I
interesting.
don't think I don't think it's really all him. I just think
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff put around him isn't the best. I say you roll it again next year, and hopefully get something going then. But he's been injured a lot this season, so I say you give him one more year. I don't know. I think that Houston game proved that he's got something in the tank. But
Yeah.
uh, I don't know. I don't know.
It'll be interesting to see. We got Commanders and Saints. Saints looking absolutely terrible. They just signed Ben DiNucci, and the Commanders are they're kind of on a bumpy stretch too. So
Oh, Ben DiNucci's playing this game.
is he?
Give me no. You just said they signed Ben DiNucci, so if he's playing, New Orleans by 1,000. But
Yeah,
if he's
they
not
just
playing, give me the Commanders in this one.
yeah they did sign him to the active roster because Carr's been banged up recently. I'm gonna take the Commanders in this one.
Yeah, Carr got hurt at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Took a nasty hit, so he might not play. Alvin Kamara's questionable in this one. Give me Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders in this one.
Yeah, me too. All right, next we got Ravens and Giants. Ravens 8-5 in the season. Giants atrocious 2-11. Tommy DeVito's getting the start in this game. Who do you think?
You're taking Tommy DeVito, right?
No.
I'll let you take Tommy DeVito. I'm going to take Baltimore in this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Baltimore too. I'm not taking Tommy Cutlass. All right, next we got Cowboys Panthers. Absolute sleeper of a game. This is the first time in like 400 days or something the Panthers have been favored in a game, and you know you're bad if you're.
They're not favored in what I'm looking at.
Yeah, I saw a stat or I saw something on online that they were favored. Yeah, they're not favored on ESPN, but on I think betting websites or something they're favored. Obviously, it's a lot closer than people would imagine during the beginning of the season. It's 52-46. Is what the Dak Prescott's obviously on the IR. Cooper Rush has been mid.
I'm going to take Carolina, though.
Yeah, I was gonna take Carolina if you didn't, and just because you took them, I'm gonna take Dallas. Now, if I had to pick and put money on it, I'd put Carolina because they're obviously
I'm going to pick
underdogs.
Carolina. We can pick the same team.
All right, and then I'll do Carolina. I don't like Dallas at all this year. They are 4-2 away, but at the same time, the Panthers they're turning up the heat recently. We saw that drop that Xavier Legette had in the end of that last game, which was really crucial. And Bryce Young has been playing pretty good. I'm really looking forward to. I mean, not looking forward to watching this game, but seeing the Panthers upset the Cowboys because I think it very well could happen. And we have a big noon slate this week too. Jets and Jaguars is the next one. Both have a combined 6 wins. 3-10.
Aaron Rodgers better not get too comfy playing in the state of Florida in the warm weather. He's got 2 games in a row in December where he's played in Florida, so it's got some nice weather for the Jets in this one. I'm gonna go New York in this one. I don't think the Jags just look so disheveled, even as much as the Jets. But I think the injury at quarterback definitely hurts them.
Yeah. Like we were saying, Trevor Lawrence is out for the year. Tank Bigsby has been pretty good, but you got Mac Jones behind the center. And the Jets are favored pretty heavily in the 62-36. And Aaron Rodgers, they put together a really good game last week against the Dolphins. And I think I'm going to take the Jets as well in this. I mean, both teams are 3-10, but I think if you're talking skill-wise and team-wise, I think the Jets have a better put-together team, and just injuries are banging up the Jaguars. Yeah.
Hassan Reddick and Breece Hall questionable in this one. Notable injuries. And also Evan Ingram is questionable and Trevor Lawrence is on IR.
Yep, moving to the next game. This one could also be interesting. We were talking about it earlier in the podcast. It's crucial for the Dolphins to beat the Texans in this one. And do you think they have what it takes, Colin?
Yeah, I do. I'm gonna take Miami in this one. I know Houston. Are they coming off of a bye? Did they play?
I believe they are coming off of a bye.
Are they coming off of a bye? I can't remember them playing last week. So yeah, I think they're coming off of a bye. Yeah, they're lost. They won against Jaguars and were on a bye.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the Dolphins are. I don't think Houston's really. I mean, they got the advantage coming off the bye. Yeah, I'm gonna pick Miami in this one. I think Houston is kind of on fraud watch alert.
Yeah, I would agree with you too. And they do have, and they have had a difficult, kind of difficult schedule. But you can't drop to Tennessee, you can't drop to New York, which they did drop games to them. And then they have Kansas City, Baltimore, and Tennessee to close out the season. So arguably for them, that's a very, very tough schedule. And I would agree with you on this. I would say the Dolphins. There's going to be a lot more at stake. They're going to realize, hey, we're going to need to win this game. We're going to want to go to the playoffs. We're going to want to be in that wild card conversation. So we're going to have to win this game. There's a lot at stake for them. Not really for the Texans, because they kind of got their division locked up. I mean, India's kind of...
Oh, they do not
India's
have the
kinda-
division
yeah,
locked
India's
up.
kinda
I was just
creeping
going to
back
mention
there.
that with the next game. The Colts would like to see Houston fall, and the Colts would have to win next week. And talking about that game, let's go to Indianapolis at Denver.
Yeah.
In this one, like Indianapolis needs to win. This is do or die for this team. Both teams, I think, coming off of a bye. Both teams
Yeah.
were on a bye last week. So both coming in prepared in this one. Who do you have in this one, Andrew?
I like the Broncos here. I think Bo Nix has been red hot. He's arguably the rookie of the year, if you're not counting.
Which Broncos? Because there's
Yeah.
the Colts, which the Colts of Bronco and the Broncos.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Denver, get the.
I'm
They're
taking-
both two horses in this one. It's a battle of the horses.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Broncos, not the Colts. The actual horse logo, not the horseshoe. I think that the Broncos have a better put together team. They've been able to string together some big wins. It wasn't necessarily a win, but that Chiefs one was huge that they went close with. The Falcons, they absolutely blew out. They beat the Buccaneers earlier in the season by a good portion. And they have the Chargers and Bengals coming up after this, and then the Chiefs again. So they have an arguably winnable schedule, although quite difficult. But I think that the Broncos will string together a win here.
There's a reason why Broncos wear horse shoes, hooves on their hooves. They're going to step all over Indianapolis in this one. Give me Denver.
Yeah, I like that analogy. And if you want to, for the low price of $345, you can attend the Lions-Bills game in Detroit.
Jeez.
That's the lowest ticket.
That's the lowest price.
Yeah, $345. That's insane.
Yikes.
But Lions and Bills playing. Lions are 2-1. Bills are 10-3. 3 losses combined with these teams. Arguably, game of the week. Arguably, the game of the year. This could be potential.
Nosebleeds are like 400. Yeah. I'm just clicked on it right now.
Yeah, it is insane.
Holy crap! There's so many. This is ridiculous. Some box seats, $1,000 a piece.
Yeah. The big game here. Notable people on IR. Really just
the 340, the 345.
Yeah,
that's standing room only.
Yeah,
I don't know if you clicked on that. That's only standing room only.
Oh
that is ridiculous.
Gosh. Yeah, DeMar Hamlin on IR. The Lions are favored in this one, 57% to 42%. And I think this game could be a lot closer than people think. The Bills are coming off of a very high-scoring loss to the Rams. They're going to want to come out for blood. They're going to want revenge. James Cook is going to get the ball more than normal, like we were saying, that the Lions were struggling with getting to the quarterback this past week. And I think just because of that, the Bills are going to win this one. I think it's going to be close, but I like the Bills.
Why are we picking the same teams, Andrew? Why are we picking the same teams? I think Buffalo's going to win this one. They really needed I think last week they felt ejected, but I think this week they win this one. Detroit's dealing with some injuries, and I think because of the defensive side of the ball, their injuries are dealing with, I would like Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills to win this one.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. Next game is arguably another really good game this week. We have the Steelers, top team in the AFC, and the Eagles, top team in the NFC, going at it in Philly. Not really too many people banged up. George Pickens is on the IR, and Reed Blankenship's on the IR. Sidney Brown's on the IR. Other than that, Eagles are favored 60% to 40%. Get that. This game I think the odds should be a lot more middle, but at the same time, the Eagles have been on fire recently. But I think this game could be a lot closer than people think. But now, I don't think necessarily it's going to be to the caliber where I would pick the Steelers over the Eagles. I think Saquon's going to have a great game at home. He's going to start getting to that point in the year where you might consider resting Saquon for the playoffs. They still have a couple more games left. Obviously, you're going to want to push for that 1 seed. But at the same time, that the Eagles are on such a high caliber, and we also did talk about earlier that A.J. Brown sort of mishap kind of thing. I just seen this right here. Mad Dog says, I'm tired of A.J. Brown. And he is crying about it, but we could see that come up, and this game could be a lot closer than people think.
Tired of Mad Dog.
Yeah, and now if if the Steelers win this is going to be a big bad turning point for the Eagles. But I don't think it's enough, and I think the Eagles will win it.
Yeah, I kind of disagree with you. I'm picking the Steelers in this one. I think the noise around Philadelphia is too much right now, and I think they're going to end up losing this game, and it's going to break loose in Philadelphia. And I think Pittsburgh will end up winning this one.
Yeah, that's valid too. Patriots and Cardinals. This one, Patriots playing Cardinals in Gillette. They're playing in Glendale. The Cardinals have been off and on recently. Big win over the Bears, big win over the Jets, bad loss, Seattle, Minnesota. Seattle lost to Seattle twice in 3 weeks. You got New England, Carolina, LA, and San Fran to finish out the season. They could pull together some wins. I don't think they're completely out of it yet. There is other teams in their division that are fighting, considering the Rams and Seattle are both fighting. San Fran's also fighting, so you need to win this game if you can, and I think that's what they will do. They will win this game. Cardinals over the Patriots for me.
Yeah, I'm going to Cardinals as well. I just think the Cardinals need to win, and they need to get back rolling, and I think this is the game they get back rolling. Arizona and Kyler Murray ends up winning this game. We got a couple more games. Let's go to Tampa Bay at the LA Chargers. So Chargers, the game is at LA. This should be another really good game. Who do you have in this one?
Yeah, this game is basically 50-50, and I think that recently the Chargers have been hotter, which is who I'm going to pick. Tampa Bay still sitting on top of their division.
Stop stealing my picks.
I think Tampa Bay, they dropped 4 games in the middle of the year. Some games they should have won. They recently have wins over the 3 worst teams in the league, New York, Carolina, and Las Vegas. Now they do have LA and Dallas and Carolina and New Orleans coming up, so those are some easier wins. But I think that they're kind of used to beating up on these worst teams, and then they're going to face a team like the Chargers, who's so high caliber, and I'm going to pick the Chargers in this one.
Yeah, I want to pick the Chargers in this one. I like how they played. They didn't have Lad McConkey last week, and they almost beat the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with the Chargers this one. I really like how their roster is constructed. I really like how Harbaugh is coaching these guys right now. So give me the not Kansas City. Give me the LA Chargers in this one. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Let's go into Sunday Night Football. Green Bay at Seattle.
Yeah, this will be a crucial one too. Primetime game in Seattle. You don't get those too often. Yeah, I think that this game will be, like I was saying earlier, for a lot of other games, this game will be closer than people think. Now the Packers are favored 62-37. But I think in this one, I'm going to pick the underdogs. I think the Seahawks are going to win. I'm not biased or anything because I'm a Bears fan. I think that Seattle's been lights out recently, and I think DK Metcalf's going to have a great game. I think that Jackson Smith-Njigba is going to get involved. They do have 2 wins over the Cardinals, New York, and San Fran. You have Green Bay, Minnesota, and Chicago coming up, so some pretty difficult games for the Seahawks. But I think that I'm going to take the Seahawks in this one.
I hope you're right, because it pains me to say this, but I think the Green Bay Packers are going to win.
Oh no!
That pains me, but I think Green Bay is going to end up winning this one. In all seriousness, Seattle has had a great run, but I think Green Bay is just a little bit of a better team, and I think they'll bring the energy and enough to win that game, especially on the road. Packers are 4-2 and away.
Yeah.
And Seahawks are only 3-4 at home right now. Let's head into the Monday Night Football games. We have 2 Monday Night Football games. One should have just been a noon game, and the other one might be they're both bad games.
Yeah.
Why they choose these both for Monday night? Chicago at Minnesota in this one.
Yeah, Chicago is...
Who do you got?
Chicago's one of 2 teams this year that doesn't have a road win, alongside the New York Giants. And the Bears have not won a road game in 18.
I'm proud of us for not recapping the Bears game and not getting into it, because I just refuse to right now with how the current situation is.
Yeah, they have lost 18 road games in a row. They have not won a road game, midday road game since 2021. This isn't a midday road game.
Well, luckily this is a
Sunday night game.
Or Monday night game.
Now, this is a crucial one, especially for Thomas Brown, who got lit up last week. Now, is he a different play caller from the box to the field? I would say yeah. But I'm going to take the Vikings in this. It pains me to say it, but I don't think that the Bears are going anywhere for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I'm not going to waste my breath on this one. We've all know the thoughts that we've seen on the Chicago Bears. We've talked about them all throughout the season. Give me Minnesota.
Yeah, and this next one's an absolute sleeper, too. Like you were saying, both these games should not be Sunday night. We should get Packers, Seahawks, Bills, Lions on Sunday night or Monday night. That would be better.
Yeah.
But
that would be.
Falcons, Raiders. This one's an interesting one. The Falcons have been.
Give me the Falcons.
Yeah, they've been on the downfall recently, but I don't know. The Raiders have been also pretty bad so far this year. They'll be on the search for a quarterback this offseason. Kirk Cousins, this is his time to prove that he's the guy. Don't talk about Penix anymore. It's me. I'm Kirk Cousins. I'm your guy, not Penix. So that'll be a crucial one for them, and I think the Falcons will win.
He's a primetime Kirk Cousins. You like that?
Yeah.
You like that?
Primetime Kirk Cousins.
That is primetime Kirk Cousins right there. I'm gonna take him as well. I like Atlanta. I said that before.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's all the games in Week 15 that we picked. Let's see if we're right. And I appreciate you guys for coming back and watching us again on the Anytime Sports Podcast show. And I guess we'll see you later.
Yeah, we'll see how this week of NFL plays out. Some big games here, some fantasy football playoffs starting up. So make sure you update your lineups and such. Hopefully you win some games, and we will see you guys next week.
Yeah, sun shining, 24/7 clouds floating. Wait, is this heaven? Didn't even die to get here, yeah. Looking for the top, it's so clear, yeah. Everything I need is right here, yeah.